And we're back with another episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy II. I'm your host, the RPG guy, and we are in the depths of Pandaemonium, son! And we still got a lot of work cut out for us. Ugh. And some of the hardest fights in the known game are coming our way very quickly here. Let's keep trekking. We ain't quite through yet. Okay. We want to go this way. Alright. And we get a ribbon with the monster in the box. And this is probably one of the nastiest enemies easily in the game. So we're just really hoping for the best on this one, guys. This is a nasty fuck fight. This is argued to be the second hardest boss fight in the game. Possibly the hardest. It depends on what version of this game you're playing, I would say. But look at that pathetic damage. Now, Astaroth is undead, and any undead enemy hitting you in this game is just devastating. Because they don't just dish out massive damage to you. On top of that, they absorb, recover, they get health out of it. Thus making it very difficult to actually put a dent in them. So we're hoping Astaroth sticks to using magic to attack us. Because that we can handle quite easily, because we've been using magic to drain our HP and all that stuff, building up our stamina, building up our magic resistance. So we wear magic attacks like it's nothing. So let's go ahead and give this bitch let's show this bitch how we do things downtown. Yeah! Suck! Ow! Yeah, hopefully, yep, so... Take that, whore bag! Suck on that, jabroni! So, again, that looked really easy. I assure you, if you don't put in the 6 to 8 hours of grinding I put in, these guys, and you use that grinding time wisely, and if you don't use that grinding time wisely, that fight is a pain in the ass. Because she will hit you for like 800 HP and heal for that much. To as high as, I've seen it as high as 1500. So it's notorious for being one of the nasty fights. Because of the nature of the fight in and of itself. So with that done, we got a ribbon out of the deal. So whoever's not wearing a Genji helm is probably going to get it. Though I do think I want Leon to have the ribbon. So that way he can help buff. Which means we're going to put the Genji helm on the biggin here. And yeah, it lowers his attack a lot more, but that's okay. He's now the weakest physical fighter, as opposed to Leon, who's now the strongest physical fighter, just because of the Genji sword trade-off that we did. So, you know, take that in stride however you want to. I just think that that's the better setup in the grand scheme of things. But we are getting to the last 3 floors? I want to say last 3 floors, yeah. And they're just going to get crazier and weirder and really tough. Luckily, I haven't used a single elixir yet. We will eventually have to, though. There's just no getting around it. So, let me think. Let's keep moving here as we head up and over as we've navigated through that ridiculously large maze. Alright, let's keep going. And here we go. Let me think here. We are... Nice, we get a Sage's Wisdom for our trouble. Woohoo! And we're throwing in a battle. Okay. There's a teleporter there, but we gotta go all the way up and around the area to even get over there. Ah, God damn it. Let's keep moving. These guys, they got shit on me, brah. Alright, let's keep going. God damn it. Okay. And away we go. Why? Why, game? Why do you torture me so? Okay. Let's grab that. God damn it, this again? Alright, let's keep going. Dag ding dong darn. Not that showing this is going to mean anything, but you can see I go after the bombs in the back row that can be reached by Maria and Furion, and then I let the two beefs take out the Gigas. And then it doesn't really matter what we do for the rest of them. We haven't really run into a fight I was actually hoping to run into, but we haven't run into it yet, so I'm kind of like, she, this way. Last chest, I think. I think that's the last chest in the game. We'll know based on the next floor, but I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, god damn it. It's a boss from earlier in this dungeon. Luckily, we know how to beat him. Alright, let's keep moving. Oh, crap. It's this one. What was it? It was you. This is actually pretty easy. There's a bunch of teleporter thingies everywhere, right? And all you have to know, really, is where to go. So if you do this, and this, and deal with this. So let me re-explain. These aren't... It's meant to be a maze, in a sense, because everything kind of looks the same, but really you just find the walls of the area and you'll be fine. Not that hard. Alright, here we are, guys. The top floor of Pandaemonium. You know what? We have enough cheap shit. Why bother, right? Didn't use a single elixir to get up here, but we are probably going to burn through... Yeah, no, we're not going to burn through anything. Alright, cool. Let's make a save, because sometimes this boss fight can be a little one-sided. Let's make sure everybody's geared up the way I want them. Yup! And yeah, you can still get into random fights up here, so, but, you know, what are you going to do, right? Alright, let's move. Hold on to your butts, and if you're really cute, you can hold on to mine. Let's do this. You have braved the bowels of hell to reach me, but the hand of man, which deals in false justice and forsaken love, can never hope to defeat the Lord Master of Hell. Go fuck yourself, Emperor. Alright. Protect. Berserk. You know what? Throw out haste. And I might have Leon Berserk again. I think it's stackable only ever so slightly. And luckily haste will counter this. Should. And it missed anyway. Because our resistance is really high. We have ribbons on everybody except guys. So we should be protected from a lot of the status things he can throw at us. But it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. So we've got Protect up. Let's throw Blink. And I'm doing that because he's going to try to release upon us a pretty nasty physical attacks where he absorbs the damage that he physically hits us with. So the less capable he is of hitting us, the better off we are. He's also going to do shit like this, which I completely despise. And again, hoping that he never gets a hit with that on us. But you can see his resistance is incredibly high. So all we can do is try to lower his defense and try to up our own. So you can see I'm still going to keep working with Berserk. I want to see if Guy starts doing more damage. I think he does. God damn it. If we can't hit him with it, we're going to have to start using magic. No! Yes! Yeah, it's slightly... It looks like it's going up a little bit, but not much. And he has a lot of health. Okay, we got Shell, Protect, Blink. I think we're good with everything else, so let's get to it. Let's throw out one more haste, and then we'll have Leon start attacking. I didn't curse this time. Probably should while Furion throws out Ultima. As long as he doesn't need to heal, we'll be okay. But let's just see what happens, because we got to figure it out here. Yeah, Ultima is a no-go. That's not enough damage to do jack diddly squat. So far, the ribbons are, yeah, pulling their weight. just get Curse on him, the better. I think he might be immune, but I didn't think he was. Again, I could be wrong, but I didn't think he was immune. But, uh-oh, here comes Flare. We're pretty protected, so 600 damage is actually pretty good. There's some damage. Yeah, we need Leon to just start fighting. That's all that's relevant right now. Gonna keep trying. I'll give her about three more tries, and then she's gonna start using Flare. Yeah, Holy did more damage than Ultima for some reason. Huh. Well, what do you know? Yeah, no. Okay, so we'll do it. Try 2 more times after that. So. Yeah. You don't want to drain his MP at all. Get back to the old bump and grind. And did we get him? Yes! Suck it, Emperor bitch! Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, but I am for real. That's a tough fight, and it's a tough fight because look at how strong we were, and we were barely damaging him compared to what we do normally to bosses. Oh. I am invincible!
Unbelievable! Defeated by insects like you. Not once, but twice. Who are you?
You can kiss the fattest part of my ass. We lucked out. He never physically attacked us. That's pretty lucky. It's done. Now let's get out of here. Let's skedaddle. This is probably the easiest version of Final Fantasy II, by the way. I'm not gonna lie, it's one of the easier versions. If you play like Dawn of Souls, or you play the original, you're in for a bumpier ride than this. But hence why I picked this one. It's finally over, isn't it? It was a long struggle, but with the Emperor gone, we've nothing left to fear. Thank you. With all my heart, I thank you. With the combined strength of Kashwan and Finn, we will build the kingdom anew. Together, Princess, we will create a kingdom even fairer than the old. Though once a coward, I now stand here a new man. I have all of you to thank for that. You have my deepest gratitude. I'm sure Scott is smiling down on me from above. Well, look at you, huh? Do you realize what you've done? Who am I supposed to steal from with the Empire gone? You'll put me out of a job. I guess I'll have to start stealing from you. Better watch your backs. I finally came up with a voice for him. I don't know why I didn't use it earlier. Ye sure showed, Amphiриum. You're every bit the bloke I pegged you for. If you ever feel like trying your hand at pirating... What? Did not sit well with him, Maria. Looks like your next battle's already begun, Firion. Yarr! You did it. I'm sure my dad's happy for you two up there above the clouds. I'm going to be working here serving the princess. I just want to do whatever I can to help out. Hehe. Aww. Joseph? And the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat? We must now dedicate ourselves to the task of restoring what was lost. Farewell, Words cannot express my gratitude to you all. War finally over. Yes. We can live in peace again, together. Right, Leon?
For us, there can be no going back.
But why? Don't go. Furion, stop him. Maria, Leon is right. We've been through too much. I can't stop him. Not now. Leon, we will meet again. And maybe next time you won't be such a bitch. Aww. Come on, you got a soft spot for that. You know you do. Well, we should be going too. This is only the beginning. It's a brave new world out there. Hold on to your butts and hold on to mine.
Their long struggle was finally at an end. The Emperor Pandaemonium. The monsters plaguing the world all had vanished without a trace. How convenient. Peace had returned once more. Yea. The wounds of the war would mend, and the memory of those bitter days would fade. But one thing would never be forgotten. That a band of young heroes once saved the world. Final Fantasy 2. Now where's my chat?
So there it is. Oh, Final Fantasy 2, done. Done. Holy fuck, done. 10,000 degrees of done. Now, Final Fantasy 2. Let's talk about it now that it's beaten. It is the most notoriously known Final Fantasy out there. I think its notoriousness is a little heavy-handed. I think the story here is very good, especially for its time. You have to remember, this is the second Final Fantasy game ever made. And if you've watched my Let's Play of the first Final Fantasy, look at how far it's come. There's a coherent narrative, a story, main characters that actually have, that are tangible. So with that said, why is it hated? It's literally the gameplay. The fact that you build up character strengths through grinding them in certain ways. This is not a game that a brand new RPG gamer should pick up. Even experienced Final Fantasy players despise, loathe, and refuse to play this game beyond the first 10 hours. I will say the PSP version and Dawn of Souls are probably the easiest versions to play. And I recommend those versions if you're going to tackle this game. The oldest version, the original Japanese NES version, and the Final Fantasy Origins version aren't as good and balanced. It doesn't necessarily mean the game is easier or harder and all of that kind of stuff. So don't misunderstand when I say that one version is significantly better than the other. It's just that I find the PSP and Dawn of Souls ones to be the more definitive versions for most people to play. Now, I've been on record. You can check out my RPG Guide. It talks about the Final Fantasy franchise, which is just summary stuff about my feelings about the franchise. And I've always said Final Fantasy 13 is the worst Final Fantasy 13. A lot of people believe that Final Fantasy 2 is the worst Final Fantasy. And these are fair sentiments, but here's my deal. Final Fantasy 2 has a coherent and lovely storyline. You feel the game, because it's a difficult Final Fantasy out in its own respect to play and learn, you feel like you're in danger. You feel like as you play this game, you're conquering the game. Now, if you're I don't want you guys to think I'm trying to sound condescending or anything, but knowing the ins and outs of Final Fantasy II makes playing Final Fantasy II rather simple. In other words, you saw what I did. I cleaned house. We did a pretty good job with 6 to 8 dedicated hours of grinding. Some of you, if you do the math, you might come up with more than that, and that's fine. 10 hours of grinding, that's a lot of grinding. Dedicated, focused grinding required to beat this game. Required to beat this game, and many would argue I did overkill. Okay? So if I did 10 hours, take 2 hours out of there. But it was required in order to beat this game. So it's not a casual JRPG by any means. The system, again, the grinding system, because I've played 3 of the 4 versions. I've actually never played Dawn of Souls, but I've heard good things about it. I've only played the PSP version, the Origins version, which I originally was going to do, but I decided against it, and the original. I grew up playing the original. And that's right. If those of you who know me, I grew up with this Famicom in the house. And I did play Final Fantasy II, and I needed a lot of help to beat it. And a lot of my friends, we'd gather together, and we'd sit down and try to beat it. And it was one of my friends kind of started to figure the system out. So, I easily spent like 70 hours beating that game. But Final Fantasy II, to me, is the superior game. Because it has a coherent story, and it has characters you want to see succeed, and a scenario that feels like it's massive in scale. You have to remember, cities were destroyed. People were wiped out in this game. Okay, by the giant cyclone. Remember, we couldn't go into towns because they ceased to exist, right? Did we forget that? Yeah. So there's legitimate stakes here that are you feel and you experience through the game. The game escalates rather viciously at times. Now, beyond that, I tend to think that the gameplay is the biggest and most painful part of this game, and maybe the dungeon layouts are a little complex, but I don't find them to be any worse than Final Fantasy I personally. So I am going to make some commentary that would be very harshly critical of other people who have expressed their opinions on this game. I'll give you one example, and by all means, I love this guy. He seems like a really nice guy, and he's done a lot of footwork playing these types of games, so his experiences are 100% legit. Final Fantasy II. Pro Jared talked about Final Fantasy II and these rooms that go to nowhere. Well, yeah, but you can always teleport out of the dungeon when you're hurting, recover, and then go back in. You can keep doing this till you actually beat the dungeon. So I don't tend to really think of the game to be having no, let's put the finished one here, shall we? Yay. So let me get back to the point here. So Pro Jared just really expressed the battle system sucking and the maps being that bad. I don't think the maps are that bad. The danger rooms, I'm going to call them the danger rooms. The rooms that lead to nowhere, where in order to get out of them, it's fight after fight. You're forced to fight 3 battles, maybe 4 max, unless you wander around the room like a jackass. And you learn that in the earliest dungeons of the game, that danger rooms are bad. So the fact that kept becoming a problem for him, I guess, because I don't know if he was playing blind for the first time. I don't know if he had any history playing it in the past. I don't remember if he's expressed that, but Pro Jared pointed out that Final Fantasy II was just unplayable. It was barely beatable, and he put in hundreds and hundreds of hours into, or not hundreds of hours, he put in tens of hours into it. We beat this game in under 30 hours. I guarantee we beat it in under 30 hours. I mean, if we do, and then Soul of Rebirth is the bonus thing. We cleared it in 24 hours and 51 minutes. That is the standard clear time for people who are familiar with any Final Fantasy game. Between Final Fantasies 1 and 6. I can usually beat, well, that's not true, 1 through 4. I can usually beat Final Fantasies 1 through 4 under 30 hours. Because I know what to do. I've played them before. I've played Final Fantasy II probably 5 or 6 times in my life. And every time I play it, it's like a chore to play. But because when we built up our characters in the beginning, once I committed that time to the game played rather smoothly. I didn't really have to dick around with powering up abilities and stuff later. Only in a few key locations. So, I'm not one of those people that really find Final Fantasy II all that terrible. I will say it like this. The battle system and the gameplay and the leveling and how you power your characters up sounded really, really good on paper. In performance and practice, it was a terrible idea. There's a good story in here, and I don't think anybody denies that. It's also one of the most violent stories in Final Fantasy. People say, in the franchise, people say 6 is the most violent, with the poisoning of Domo. Well, they poisoned the Waverns and the people of Deus in 2 first. Oh yeah, that's right. You know, the war crimes of Final Fantasy II at least put it on par with what happens in 6, in my opinion. As far as like the darkest kind of stuff to happen in the franchise, they killed off 4 main characters in this Final Fantasy, with no hesitation either. So this, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that you should play it for those reasons, but it's definitely the most mature themed of the Final Fantasies out there, and it's the first one to tackle like the idea of this massive empire, and it fits the scale. Final Fantasy IV's empire, the Baron Empire, didn't really feel as big of a threat. You didn't feel Baron really doing all that much. They attack Damsan, and they do a few other things in the story, but it's mostly just Golbez running around doing stuff. So the Empire feel is a little less prominent, and they kind of throw that idea to the side at a certain point. They kind of dump that off to the side. The Empire in Final Fantasy VI was much closer to the Empire here in Final Fantasy II, and they're both very comparable to each other in lots of interesting ways. This villain, the Emperor, he's okay. He's not great. He's better than Bart from Final Fantasy 13. You know what I'm talking about. 13 to me, so 13 is the polar opposite of Final Fantasy 2 about good and hate, love and hate. Final Fantasy 13 in parallel to 2. So let me explain this. So I think Final Fantasy 2 is better than 13. I'm probably one of the few people that do. Final Fantasy 13. Okay, so Final Fantasy 2 has crappy gameplay mechanics, but it has an interesting story and characters and all that. Who doesn't love Minwu? He's great. Final Fantasy 13 has better gameplay elements. Absolutely. I know some people didn't like it because it's not like the old school Final Fantasies, but most people haven't played all the old school Final Fantasies, and some of the Final Fantasies, the battle mechanics aren't good. You know, they're moderate or tolerable at best. But Final Fantasy 13, it's tolerable. It's fine. It didn't offend me to play it. Like, it didn't it didn't feel like the game was broken when I tried to play 13. With that said, the story is fucking terrible. The characters are retarded and just monstrously poorly written. Snow easily being the worst character in the game playing wise, but also the worst character written. That's probably the worst Final Fantasy character ever written, next to Irvine from 8. Okay, and I'm not being that generous. I prefer Irvine, okay? It was that bad. Is it Irvine? Irving. I think it's Irvine. I forget now. Different translations and shit. Regardless, fucking 13's story is bad. It is bad. It is overly convoluted, and I wish they would have spent more effort simplifying the story. It's not that I don't like complex stories. I love freaking Final Fantasy Tactics. That's a very complicated story, but it's coherent, and it makes sense, and it's actually well structured and balanced. Final Fantasy 13 is not. It is not at all. It is not well at all. And people call it the hallway simulator. I disagree. It's as much of a hallway simulator as Final Fantasy X, so I don't see the problem. 10 had a big open area. No, it didn't. It didn't have a big open area. 13 had a bigger open area. So if you're going to give 13 crap for that, you got to give 10 crap for the same problem. It's the hallway simulator, but It's a justified hallway simulator because it's a pilgrimage to temples, and you have to go to all these places, and instead of starting your character in the middle of Spira, they kind of shove you at a small little island way out in the boonies, so to speak, and that's what gives it the kind of forward movement that you feel, and then at the end of the game you can kind of travel to where you want. But 13's story is just the worst. It's just the worst. It's the worst story of all. And the gameplay isn't that bad. I even preferred, dare I say, over 12. But the gameplay isn't that bad. It's the story that just got under my skin. And maybe one of these days, if people really want me to do it, maybe if I start like a Patreon service or something, that could be one of the goals, is I make myself suffer through Final Fantasy 13 and torture myself. But it was funny because when I streamed 13 live, I actually played it live in front of a group of people on Twitch about 8 months to a year. No, it was over a year ago. All of the viewers, and all of them are still around too, and that's why they stuck around after that. They all loved 13. They were all fans of 13 going, I'm going to have a great time. They were all saying it to me, and I'd already played it prior to streaming it when it first came out. They were all rubbing it in, you're going to love it, you're going to love it. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see. And then I started playing it, and I started making my commentary about everything wrong with the story as it was happening. And it's funny, all of the viewers that were fans of the game started commenting that they don't remember the story being this way. And we got further and further, and Snow, you're not a hero, you're a moron. You are a mentally disabled child. I'm just kidding, but not really, but yes, I am. Not to diminuate mental disability, but he is slow thinking, and he's a moron. He's a terribly written character, and I just want to say every offensive word possible to describe Snow. I can't help it. It's just, have you ever met a character that angered you so much that's all you could think of? You don't even see his face. All you see is like a bruised up punched face. Anyway, back to Final Fantasy II. I know I'm rambling. We're going to cut this shorter here, but is Final Fantasy II worth playing? It's one of the entry-level, I would say it's the entry-level Final Fantasy that you pick up before you start tackling like romancing sagas, before you want to dig into like some of the most ridiculously difficult JRPGs out there. If you can get through Final Fantasy II okay, rather unscathed, even if you kind of liked it, then I would say start going into the more obscure, much more complex and difficult stuff. I remember growing up playing romancing saga games and the Saga Frontiers and Unlimited Saga and stuff. Those games are notoriously difficult, and Final Fantasy II almost breaks into that realm of difficulty. So anyway, I know I went on a rant about Final Fantasy 13. I do apologize. I'm sure a lot of you guys love it. I hate it. And we're each to each their own, right? So anyway, but I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I want to thank you guys for enduring a very long, kind of rough game. Trust me, you don't know how rough it was to grind these characters specifically and to design them specifically the way I needed to get through the game. But with all that said, we got through it. It wasn't the worst experience out there. I've played far worse games than this, 13. Even worse game, Grandia Extreme, is probably as mundane as Final Fantasy 2. And oh yeah, I just bashed the Grandia series, and I love that series. I know. Every game, every franchise has a freaking couple of dark little spots in there that should be destroyed with a tactical weapon of some sort, nuclear weapon of some sort. But they exist, and, you know, it's always great to play them. Anyway, thanks, guys, for stopping by. I am your host, the RPG Guy. Like, comment, subscribe. Give recommendations of something you might want me to play in the future. I haven't really decided what to play next beyond this one, but maybe I'll come up with something in a while. I'm probably going to continue playing some more Phantasy Star. Maybe go into the Phantasy Star 2 game, because I did Phantasy Star already. We've done Final Fantasy 1. We did Lunar 1. Now we do Final Fantasy 2, Phantasy Star 2, and Lunar 2. And maybe start knocking them out that way. I don't know. It's up in the air what we're going to do. But I do want to thank you guys for stopping by, for hanging out and enduring concentrated rage. I am your host, the RPG Guy. Check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/JackTardStudios. and I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. I really do. Thanks, guys, for stopping by. We'll see you guys next time. Bye! Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please take a moment to check out more episodes from the RPG Guy, Tuesday Night Team Up, and more. And please subscribe. Always support the channels you enjoy watching, and while you're at it, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Keep on gaming hard. See you next time.